Good evening and welcome to the Weekly Voice, presented by VNN. Bringing you today's top 10 Canadian news stories on April 4th, 2025. Let's get started. We begin in Brampton, where Peel Regional Police have made another arrest in a multi-million-dollar cargo theft case involving All Days Trucking. Authorities say over $5 million in freight was stolen between December 2024 and January 2025. 41-year-old Manjinder Singh Bura, previously arrested in February, now faces additional charges including 12 counts of theft, over $5,000, and 11 counts of fraud. He was rearrested alongside 28-year-old Sukhdeep Singh Brar of Brampton, who's now facing 17 counts of theft and 16 counts of fraud. New data from Statistics Canada reveals that the country lost 33,000 jobs in March, pushing the national unemployment rate to 6.7%. Full-time employment saw a dramatic loss of 62,000 positions, and the wholesale, retail, and cultural sectors bore the brunt. While wage growth remains positive, economists say the pressure from trade tensions is starting to bleed into business hiring decisions. With U.S. tariffs biting into export-heavy industries, the Bank of Canada is now expected to cut interest rates further this month to cushion the blow. In Alberta, Premier Danielle Smith is calling the recent partial exemption from U.S. tariffs a major win for the province. Energy, beef, seafood, and uranium exports will continue entering the U.S. tariff-free for now. But while Smith applauded American respect for the existing trade deal, she also called for intensified lobbying to remove tariffs on steel, aluminum, and automobiles. Meanwhile, NDP leader Naheed Nenshi struck a more cautious tone. He urged Ottawa to develop a long-term strategy focused on economic independence, suggesting Canada should become more self-sufficient and even leverage the crisis to attract top global talent and innovation. With breaking news from Canada's real estate sector, home sales across the country have plunged to their lowest level in over a year, with a nearly 10% drop in February alone. According to the Canadian Real Estate Association, the sharp decline is being linked directly to the escalating trade war with the United States, which has shaken consumer confidence and delayed major financial decisions. The hardest hit regions include the Greater Toronto Area and the Golden Horseshoe, while new listings fell almost 13%, reversing January's gains. Economists warn that if the trade war continues, the housing market could face sustained damage and potential price corrections. Turning now to the global stage, China has responded forcefully to U.S. protectionism. Beijing announced that it will impose an additional 34% tariff on all American imports beginning April 10th. The move follows President Trump's Liberation Day tariff declaration and includes a sweeping ban on 11 U.S. companies doing business in China. China is also restricting exports of rare earth elements like gadolinium and yttrium, key materials used in high-tech manufacturing and defense systems. With these retaliatory measures, JP Morgan now places a 60% chance on the world economy slipping into recession by year's end. Ontario Premier Doug Ford is sounding the alarm over what he calls a totally unacceptable trade environment. With Trump's 25% auto tariffs taking effect, Ford warned that Ontario's manufacturing economy, especially its auto sector, is facing significant risk. While he cautiously supports Prime Minister Carney's countermeasures, Ford insists that the only acceptable solution is the complete removal of all tariffs. He praised Ottawa's strategic decision to exclude Mexico from retaliation to preserve North America's integrated supply chain, but says Ontario still needs direct federal support for manufacturers navigating this economic storm. Liberal leader Mark Carney is dismissing a controversial op-ed by Reform Party founder Preston Manning, who warned that a Liberal victory could trigger Western secession. Carney, speaking in Montreal today, called Manning's remarks dramatic and emphasized his deep ties to Western Canada, including being raised in Edmonton. The Liberal leader said Canada is at a moment that calls for unity, not division, as the country faces major challenges like trade tensions with the U.S. conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, also distanced himself from Manning's claim, stating simply, "No," when asked if he agreed. Both leaders appear to be walking a careful line, promoting a message of national cohesion as the federal election nears. In the wake of sweeping U.S. auto tariffs, Canada's auto sector is standing firm. Industry Minister Anita Anand confirmed that automakers are staying put, working directly with the federal government to safeguard jobs and long-term investments. Anand revealed that Ottawa is creating a remission framework, providing tariff relief to automakers committed to Canadian production. She rejected Trump's push for US-only auto dominance, citing decades of strong cross-border partnerships and strategic funds to maintain competitiveness. Her message: Canada is ready to support its industry through this trade storm, and it's not backing down. There's a silver lining for Ontario drivers. Gas prices are expected to fall by as much as 9 cents per litre this weekend, thanks to global market volatility triggered by ongoing trade tensions. Energy analyst Dan McTeague attributes the drop to a steep decline in crude oil futures, which fell over 6% on Thursday. With prices expected to reach around 1.32 per litre in cities like Toronto, Ottawa, and Hamilton, McTeague is advising motorists to wait until Saturday to fuel up. This follows an earlier 20-cent dip after the federal government axed the carbon tax on April 1st. But with global uncertainty still looming, analysts warn these savings may be short-lived. Finally tonight, Canada is fighting back. Prime Minister Mark Carney has announced sweeping countermeasures in response to what he calls unwarranted and unjustified U.S. tariffs on Canadian goods, including the auto sector. Canada will impose 25% tariffs on non-CUSMA-compliant vehicles and U.S. auto content not made in Canada or Mexico. Every dollar raised will go to support affected workers. Additional supports include expanded access to EI, deferred tax payments, new financing options, and nearly $30 billion in reciprocal tariffs, matching U.S. duties on steel, aluminum, and other imports. Carney says Canada will stand firm. We will never cease to defend the interests of Canadians. That's all for today's top stories. Thank you for joining us on The Weekly Voice presented by VNN. Stay informed, stay engaged, and we'll see you next time.